Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's a statistician to the stars. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you, and folks, our national nightmare is over. The Florida State Seminoles won a game.
Yes, we have been watching that very intensely.
1-3 record.
Yeah, it's scary to think about, but sure enough.
And I know people have been hitting me up about, why do you keep bringing this up? I mean, listen, for as much-ish as they talked at the end of the last college football season, we deserve to be in the college football playoff. We should be there. Back up your talk, bro.
Exactly. That being said, you know you're tuned into the sports edition of the ODPH, and we definitely want to interact with everybody. So, Pad, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
From social media links to the blogs to the music section to the directory. Pad, how many providers are we on?
357,781. We added a few in the middle of reading them.
Yes, we did. So thank you for everybody that's been checking us out. Drop a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm of the show. Also, the classifieds where we have friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many, many more. Basically, if it's anything and everything it is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And on socials, except for threads, use the hashtag ODPHpod because it works differently there. But we do love the interactions going on there. As we said, it is sports time here at the ODPH, and that means one thing. We kick off the show during this time of year with one subject, and one subject is, Pad?
Figure skating.
Well, that is for the former Patreon.
Oh.
No. We got to talk the week that was in the National Football League.
I mean, does anybody still watch that?
I believe they're setting records left and right,
Oh.
and not just Kansas City Chief games.
Yeah, that's true.
No, ratings are up from what I'm hearing very, very well. So
Yeah, that's true.
let's do it. What are we talking?
Yes, we're going to talk my lock, which was the San Francisco 49ers to beat the Los Angeles Rams, which came close. Almost, but you know what they say about close. Only matters in hand shoes and or the horseshoes and hand grenades. And unfortunately, the 49ers lost this game by the final score of 27-24. Matthew Stafford, 16-25, 221 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Brock Purdy, 22 of 30 for 292 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jordan Mason led the way for San Francisco in rushing with 19 carries, 77 yards, no touchdowns. Kyron Williams led the way for Los Angeles with 24 carries, 89 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And then for receiving, it was Tutu Atwell led the way for Los Angeles with 4 catches, 93 yards. God damn. No touchdowns. And then for San Francisco, it was Juwan Jennings with 11 catches, 175 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. Should be noted as well. Kyron Williams, I mentioned the 2 rushing touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown as well.
He had a very big game.
Yeah.
But I think the big takeaway from here is the 49ers are in big trouble.
Especially that defense.
The defense is really in trouble.
Yeah.
I did not think we'd be saying this.
At least at this point.
Looking at the record that they had going into this. I thought that the Minnesota game might have been a fluke.
Yep.
Traveling east, 1 o'clock time, could throw everything off, sure.
Yep.
But against the Rams, and we have to remember, this is not the Rams of old.
No, Aaron Donald retired.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp did not play.
Right. And they were up at halftime 14-7, and I believe at one point they were up 21-7.
That would make sense because both teams scored a touchdown in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would make sense.
So the fact that they blew a lead in the fourth quarter is not like this 49er team.
No.
And seeing this franchise slip like this is a very scary thought for a team that many have penciled in to go to the Super Bowl.
And looked as dominant as they did last year.
Mm-hmm. And I guess you have to also factor in Christian McCaffrey is not there.
Yeah, much to the chagrin of every fantasy owner who has him.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
But to think about how this team has dropped off, and it's not really on the offensive side of the ball, but I think there's got to be some kind of maybe mystique with this that
It could be.
they can't run the clock out.
I mean, statistically, It's not the offense. 292 yards through the air. He only had 8 incompletions that we know of, and that count as incompletions. I don't know if that necessarily counts throwaways or whatever else. He only got, I'm talking about Brock Purdy here. He only got sacked once. And then for the run game, I mentioned the 19 for 77 from Jordan Mason. Purdy had 10 for 41 himself. Isaac Guerrero had 5 for 19. Okay, so if there's one, so that's 34 carries overall, 137 yards rushing, which isn't bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not sexy. It's not exactly like, oh my God, they got the best run game in the NFL. It's kind of that's something you can work on. No rushing touchdowns. They averaged 4 yards a carry for the entire run game. But then you look at the receiving core. I mean, Jennings had the great game. Ayuk 5 for 48. Eric Sauber 2 for 41. And then kind of that's where it kind of falls off, because you had Ronnie Bell 1 for 12, Jordan Mason 2 for 11, Kyle Juszczyk 1 for 6, Jake Brendel none for 2. How the hell does that work?
Yeah.
And then Dominic Pooney none for -3.
Yeah, it's a weird stat there, and I can't even break that down because, honestly, it just goes back to the big picture. And that is the 49ers offense is hurting without McCaffrey, and that defense can't close. And no matter how you want to try saying it, there is trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. And especially to a Rams team. And I know we always talk division, and division always steps up. This Rams team is depleted.
Yeah.
On many sides of the ball.
You noticed when I was reading off those stats for the receiving core, there was one name missing.
Yeah, George Kittle. Who was out that game.
Yep.
But in comparison, the entire starting wide receiver core for the Los Angeles Rams is out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mentioned Tutu Atwell, the other gentleman who got a credit for catch receiving on the Rams side of things. Demarcus Robinson, 1 for 32. Jordan Whittington, 3 for 28. Kyron Williams, 2 for 27. Colby Parkinson, 3 for 21. And Tyler Johnson, 3 for 20.
Yeah.
Are any of those guys on your fantasy teams? Be honest.
Well, I think now some are getting picked up.
Well, now.
Yeah, but
going into Sunday, no.
Prior to, no. And that's the one thing that the Rams are finding a way to win here, and they're trying to find a way to do something. And they are staying somewhat relevant because had they lost 0-3, I was hearing some rumors, and I will stress rumors, Stafford to the Raiders.
Ooh.
And I think that they were going to implode the team.
Could be.
Which, I mean, I know Raiders fans could have desperately used that. But it goes to show that the Rams are still going to scrap, even though this was not a great win. This was one that they desperately needed, and for the 49ers, this is detrimental.
So there could be a reason for the whole defense issue thing. Their defensive coordinator this year is a gentleman by the name of Nick Sorensen, who's been with the team for a couple of years now. He first joined the team in 2022 as a defensive assistant, was a defensive pass game specialist and Nichols coach last season, and was named the defensive coordinator this past offseason after Steve Wilks parted ways with the club after last season. And Steve Wilks, was, if you're curious, is currently a volunteer advisor with the Charlotte 49ers, who is a D1 FBS school in college football. So the same defensive coordinator from last year is not there this year, and clearly something ain't clicking.
No, there's a big disconnect, and they have to figure it out quick. Because this season is going to slip away from them. The rest of the NFC has really stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, their division, it's not that bad. Seattle's running away with the early up 3 games to, has a 3-0 record, but the rest of the division is 1-2. So in their division, you're in the mix, but by and large for the rest of the NFC, hey, you got to step it up, guy.
Yeah, there's big problems there. So they're going to need to fix it this week. You want to say they're going to turn it on. I just don't know, to be honest with you, because every time I said the 49ers are going to turn it around.
No, they'll turn it around this week.
You think? Who against Carolina?
No, Patriots.
See, I don't even believe that. I don't.
I think the defense might give the 49ers offense a little bit of issues. If we're going with the same offense they've got now, McCaffrey doesn't play, Kittle doesn't play, you've got, who else was there? Ayuk has basically all you got to really do is contain Ayuk and Jennings. And I think the Patriots can do that to a degree. Are they going to shut them down the entire game and have like 2 for 12 yards? No. But I think the Patriots defense can, at least for a while, contain them. It's just the other side of that ball with the Patriots offense.
Well, that's the one thing. That's the one thing right now. I just have no faith in the 49er defense. I don't. So I can't say with confidence this is going to be a lock.
Right.
I can't.
Oh, I'm not either.
I'm not saying it's going to be an upset, but honestly, I don't know what team is going to show up. And until I
true.
do, I can't have any faith in the 49ers
West
right now.
Coast team coming east.
Yeah.
It's not at 1 o'clock.
Still, though, I don't trust him. The only person I trust on this team is Brock Purdy. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is. I'm sorry. I'm not sold on what I'm seeing right now.
Currently, as we record, the line is San Francisco by 9.5.
Oh, see.
Or sorry, that's not a West Coast team coming east. They're going. That's staying out west.
Well, I'm going to say this right now. If the 49ers lose next week, even if it's by 3,
I'm going to be the most obnoxious person in the world.
I'm just going to say their season's done. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm going to say right then and there.
Bold statement. Could be true.
But I'm saying if they go down 1-3.
Oh, you go down. Well, yeah, that's true. Well,
If they go down 1-3, they're already 2 games behind Seattle.
yeah.
And if Seattle wins, that'll be up 3 games. I'm not crowning anybody the NFC West champs, but I'm saying
No.
for right now they're in the middle of the pack when they should be an elite team, and
Seattle
that's the problem.
Seattle ain't got it easy. Seattle is in Detroit on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's going to be a very
that's going to be a slugfest.
That's going to be just straight up box office right there. But we'll see if Seattle's the real deal there though.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sold on them either, even with a 3-0 record.
Still early.
Yeah, it's still very early.
They don't crown champions in the first month of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So for the San Francisco 49ers, as I mentioned, this upcoming Sunday, they're at home against the New England Patriots. Week 5, they're at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Week 6, they're on the road playing the Seattle Seahawks. That'll be on Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. And then week 7, they are at home at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Los Angeles Rams, this upcoming Sunday, they are on the road playing the Chicago Bears. Week 5, at home against the Green Bay Packers. Bye in week 6. And then week 7, at home against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Be some fun football there.
It should be.
Definitely will say.
And then we're going to talk one of my leaps, which, you know what? I took this on I took it on a flyer. You never know. Pick a random one. Might work out.
I tell you, this was probably the safest fly that you could do because New Orleans
They're playing hot the last couple weeks.
has been playing hot. You can't take anything away from them. And with Philadelphia, I mean, what is it about the teams that should be running away with this division? I'm sorry, the conference. That's what they should be doing, and we're not seeing that. And boy, oh boy.
See, that's what I figured. New Orleans coming in hot. Philly stumbling a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
New Orleans might be able to catch them on their back foot, but it's not the case because the Eagles defeated the Saints 15-12. Jalen Hurts, 29-38, 311 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Derek Carr, 14-25, 142 yards passing, 1 touchdown, just 1 interception. Alvin Kamara, 26 carries, 87 yards, no touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 17 carries, 147 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. And then for Philadelphia, it was Dallas Goedert leading the way with 10 catches, 170 yards. Guess who left him on their bench? This guy. No touchdowns. And then Chris Olave led the way for New Orleans with 6 catches, 86 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Well, I will say first and foremost, this was not a great game to watch.
No, this was kind of sloppy.
3-0 to the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective.
Yeah.
So I will say at least the fourth quarter got somewhat exciting.
It's like they remembered they were playing football.
Well, in a situation like this, you really need to kind of display something. And for the Saints, were they really contenders instead of pretenders?
Mm-hmm.
What was Philly going to do here?
Yeah.
And I will say this, probably the happiest person on the Philly team right now is Saquon Barkley.
And the most despondent person in all of the NFL are the Giants fans.
Oh, yeah. No, I could hear the Giants fans' groans right now. But Barkley made up for last week.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you're a high-level player like he is, you need to. You need to forget about the previous week, get down to business, and that's what you needed to do. And especially in a game where they needed this one. Not saying they had to worry about Dallas by any means, but for Philly, I think that they need to find some kind of level of consistency.
Yeah.
They finally dug deep and found a way to win in the fourth. Hurts looked good in that quarter.
Yeah.
But like I say, the previous 3, it wasn't anything to write home about.
Now, this is one that like either team should have, the previous 3 quarters should have like really asserted their dominance and just like, hey, listen, this is ours to lose. We're going to do this. But instead they were playing that Mario Party minigame where you toss the bomb back and forth like, oh, no, you take it, you take it, you take it. And neither one of them wanted to win.
Yeah, nobody wanted this one.
No.
But Philly found out a way to win it, and good for them. They needed it more, I think. I think for the Saints, jumping out to this big lead and then what happened with Tampa Bay, I think helped them a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not as crucial. But I think for Philly, especially with the pressure on them because they're in a win-now mode, to lose a game like this would have been crushing, but for them to win like this, I think shows some resolve.
So for those Philadelphia Eagles, this upcoming Sunday, they're on the road playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bye in Week 5. Week 6, they come back. They're at home against the Cleveland Browns. And then Week 7, on the road playing the New York Giants. And then for the New Orleans Saints, this upcoming Sunday, they are on the road playing the Atlanta Falcons. At home, on the road, Week 5 on Monday Night Football playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 6, they're at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Week 7, they're at home against the Denver Broncos. That's on Thursday Night Football.
Some fun games coming up.
Should be.
But like I say, for the Philly, they need to contend in the East because, well, they might have some unlikely competition. Now, we did say Dallas, but this was not the team to keep an eye out for.
Hell no.
The Washington Commanders scored the upset of the weekend, in my opinion. I'll even say over Carolina because I'll get into that when we give the quick rundown for that.
Yeah.
But I will say this, for a team that was supposed to contend.
That nobody expected.
I was going to say in the case of Cincinnati.
Oh.
They only had a small drop-off this year, and they have now proven that, I hate saying this, but they might be the Bengals of old in the sense of there is a big distraction in that locker room, and this is now rolling onto the field, and for whatever reason, this team can't put it together.
And I realize everyone's going to say, well, the Bengals are slow starters. It's week fucking 3. I can understand week 1. Things are a little different. They might not be conditioned all the way and ready to go all the way. I get it. Totally understandable. Week 2, you start to lose a little bit of that leeway, at least with me, for, excuses and explaining things away. Week 3, there's no fucking excuse. You've been going for how many weeks now? Like, you've been practicing how many days? Like, there's no excuse.
I'm going to say it right now. They should be 2-1 at the least.
At least.
At the least.
Yeah.
Granted, last week was last week. You can listen to the show last sports episode, and you know my feelings there.
File that under reasons.
Reasons. But this team is too talented to be 0-3. And the fact they are, I think there are actual legit reasons why. So we'll get into it after we break down the scores. So, Pat, let's go into it.
Yeah, so the Commanders beat the Cincinnati Bengals 38-33. Jaden Daniels, 21-23 for 254 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Burrow, 29-38, 324 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Chase Brown led the way for Cincinnati in rushing with 7 carries, 62 yards, no touchdowns. Jaden Daniels led the way for Washington with 12 carries, 39 yards, and 1 touchdown. Should note, Austin Eckler, 3 for 35 and 1. And then it was Terry McLaurin leading the way for Washington in receiving with 4 catches, 100 yards, 1 touchdown. And for Cincinnati, it was Jamar Chase, 6 catches, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
So let me give the flowers first.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels had a great game.
Jaden Daniels looking like a stud.
Could
be early. Could be, a little bit, there ain't a lot of footage on him. We'll see.
Right. But here's the thing. He won 2 games late.
True.
And this helps confidence. And for a rookie in the league, you need that.
Currently, he has 664 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 67.9. I realize it's only 3 games into the year, but for a rookie, it's not bad.
For a rookie, and especially on this team, which, let's face it, borderline superstars on the offensive side of the ball, borderline at best, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's willing this team to win, and granted, one was against the Giants.
But it's division.
It's division, but they scrapped.
Yeah.
That's what they needed to do.
Yeah.
This was another scrappy win, and this is something that will help them in the long run. Now, we have to get to the big problem in Cincinnati.
Hey.
I think that there is so much going on with this team in the sense of they're distracted by contract talks.
Yeah.
It looks, and just is this my opinion, there looks like there's a locker room disconnect somewhere. I know that Jamar Chase has now emerged as the Jamar Chase of old.
That's not a surprise.
Right, but I think the contract issue might be looming overhead.
Yeah.
I think that there's just a lot of stuff going on with this team in the locker room, and you can tell on the side of the field that it appears to me that maybe, just maybe, Burrow and company are just not as focused as they have been in years past. That I think that maybe they thought that they would just turn on a switch and be the Cincinnati of old.
I mean, listen, I'm just looking at the straight numbers and final scores. Lost the first game 16-10. Okay. Lost to Kansas City week 2, 26-25. And then lost to Washington 38-33. Clearly, if I'm just looking at the numbers and not digging deeper into contract this, whatever else, offense ain't got nothing wrong. If I'm looking at anything, you gave up 16, 26, and 38. Something's wrong with that defense. Now, whether it's you got the wrong personnel in the wrong spot, you got maybe the wrong person playing, and this guy on the bench should be playing ahead of that guy. I don't know. I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm not a head coach. I'm not a scout. But it could start with the defensive coordinator. And the defensive coordinator just might not be the right guy for that team and the personnel they've got there and needs to go. It's 3 weeks in. I realize it's super early, but as everyone knows, the longer you go into the season without a win, the harder it is to make the playoffs.
Yeah. That is the problem that they have now, and I'm going to say this team's already done.
Could be.
I mean, I hate saying it because I think Cincinnati is way too talented.
Tell you this. If they lose next week, it's over.
Well, yeah, I think next week, I don't want to say is the season, but it truly is.
No, it is, because I'll get to it in a minute. I'm looking after that. They need to start getting on a roll because it ain't going to get any easier.
Oh, no, we mentioned that the preview of the season.
Yeah.
They had a very tough schedule to go, and they had the opportunity to jump out early and take some easy wins.
Yeah, they very easily right now should be 2-1.
Oh, yeah, without question.
They should have beaten New England. Listen, I love the fact my Patriots picked up a win, but realistically, they should have beaten the pants off of us. Kansas City, coin toss. Honest to God, I realize they've got a whole rivalry thing going. It's Burrow versus Patty Mahomes. Coin toss. You can call that one a win. You can call that one a loss, however you want to look at it. And they should have beaten Washington. Washington is good, but they're a very young team, and it's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. The fact that this team is struggling, especially they had to try coming from behind, that defense is not focused, and maybe, like I say, there's a disconnect somewhere.
Maybe nobody on the defensive side wants to be the leader.
Well, I think that
maybe they're all looking around.
Well, I think they're so used to the offense bailing them out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. When this defense has to play, they do show up. We've seen them take on Kansas City and play them very tough.
Yeah.
But I think that they're playing down to the level of their opponents.
Could be.
And I think they're now looking past them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And we see now with New England, they jumped out to him on early.
Yeah.
And everybody said, Burrow will bail him out. Well, he didn't.
No.
What happened this week? Same thing. He tried bailing him out, but he can't. And that's why I say, when you start talking the contracts and everybody's talking about franchise and all that, this is where the problem lies. So the question is to see where this goes now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for Cincinnati, next week is now the season.
Because they are on the road playing the Carolina Panthers, where, fun fact, as we currently record, the line is Cincinnati by 4.5.
Yeah.
In Carolina, which, mind you, I realize, Carolina sucks, and Carolina does suck. They've given up the last 3 weeks, for the last 3 weeks, 22 points, 26 points, and 47.
Yeah.
That defense couldn't stop a cold.
No, that defense is very, very bad, but this is where now the true test is going to be, because if Cincinnati can't make a definitive win.
Yeah, it's not easier.
No.
Because after that, week 5, they are at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Week 6, they are on the road playing the New York Giants. That'll be on Sunday Night Football, so boy, the eyes will be on that one. And then week 7, they are on the road playing the Cleveland Browns. And like I said, after that, doesn't get any easier. Eagles, Raiders, Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, Dallas, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers again. Whew, good luck.
It's not easy, so they have to put it together now, otherwise the season's lost. And then if you want to talk about contract issues, they're going to really have some problems. So hopefully they can turn it around for them.
We'll see. And for those, and then for the Washington Commanders, next week they're on the road playing the Arizona Cardinals. Week 5, they're at home against the Cleveland Browns. Week 6, on the road playing the Baltimore Ravens. And then week 7, at home against the Carolina Panthers.
So there are some winnable games there, but they're going to need to figure things out. But for Washington, they're sitting pretty.
Yeah, they are.
Much like another team, which I thought that they would be in more trouble than they are, because sometimes you need more than love to win in Green Bay. And sure enough, that's what they've found in an unlikely source.
Return of Malak.
Yes.
Return of Malik.
Let's talk about it.
So the Green Bay Packers defeated the Tennessee Titans by the final score of 30-14. Malik Willis, 13-19, 202 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Will Levis, 26-34, 260 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tony Pollard led the way for Tennessee in rushing with 6 carries, 14 yards. Good God. No touchdowns. Green Bay had Malik Willis lead the way with 6 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. For Green Bay, it was Christian Watson, 2 catches, 67 yards, no touchdowns. And then for Tennessee, surprise, surprise, DeAndre Hopkins, 6 catches, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Holy shit, Tennessee's run game sucks.
Well, Tennessee is not the Tennessee of old.
That's true.
They look old.
Yeah, they do.
I'm sorry, they do not have any pep in their plays. A lot is being asked of Will Levis. I know he's trying to do the best he can with what he has, but like you alluded to, they don't have a run game.
No, they don't.
Their run game is...
They had for the entire team. That's between Pollard, Levis, and Tyjae Spears, 11 carries.
Yeah. Their offensive line is atrocious.
Yeah.
And the fact...
I think the only worst one is Chicago.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we'll get to Chicago in a bit. I think genuinely, though, this team is just really... trying to stay
early parts of a rebuild.
Yeah, relevant, but this is not looking it.
No.
And for on the flip of the coin, though, for Green Bay, they could not have lucked into a better situation. Because I don't want to say this is going to happen, but hear me out.
Okay.
Jordan Love is due back in a couple weeks, allegedly.
If everything goes the way it should, yes.
So if Willis is on a hot streak, are they going to pull him?
No, I'd say give Jordan all the time he needs until the training staff and the medical staff are like 150%. He's good to go, and then you do it. But for right now, let Malik go. Give Jordan all the time he needs. Give him extra time.
Yeah.
Don't rush things back, because as we've seen oftentimes in sports, when you rush things back, you're just inviting more injuries.
You are, but I think in this situation, though, if Malik puts together like a 5-game win streak, you can't. I don't know how you put Love back in. I really don't. I think you have a problem on your hands. It's a good problem to have.
Could be.
But I think you also have to figure that out amongst the team, because I don't know how you do that with Love.
It's also a similar luck situation to when Brady was still with the Patriots and he got suspended the first 4 games. And it was like, okay, yeah, we got Garoppolo as the backup. That's not bad. And then Garoppolo got hurt, and it's like, shit, what the hell are we going to do? And then Brissett came in. Yeah. And we ended up going like 3-1 or something like that. So like, hey, sometimes it works out.
Well, I think in the sense, though, Brady is Brady.
That's
at that point, you're not going to sit Brady.
Right.
I think in this situation, though, Love is still proving himself. But I think with this team, if they're clicking right now, I'm hard-pressed as a coach, unless Willis has a really bad game, to really put Love back in right now at this moment.
I think Love is the guy. I think they're just getting incredibly fortunate that Malik is working out the way he has.
Yeah, no, I think that, like I say, it's worked out in such a benefit to them that I don't think they ever realized. So it's now created, in my opinion, a real quarterback controversy, because I think as well as Love has played, and I think that he is the guy, I could see them saying, no, we'll hold off and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
And that would be a gutsy move on their half. I don't know how that would work. But I think as long as Willis is putting up dominant wins, I'm hard-pressed not to say, like, hey, we'll wait till he messes up and then bring you back in. Give you more time to understand.
I just don't see it happening, just because I know they had an entire off season of like OTAs and training camp and all this, and like they saw what they both had, they know what they've got, and I think it's just, hey, they're obviously the Philadelphia game was going to be the Philadelphia game. There was no time realistically for Malik to come in and do anything with the end of that game, because that was like under a minute he came in or whatever it was. But then you see when you gave him a full week of prep time with the Indianapolis game and then the Tennessee game, what he can do. So it's a good case of, God forbid something happens to Jordan Love again, in which case you can, hey, you don't have to worry and you don't have to panic, a la Miami, who we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
You know what you've got behind you. You can feel confident and like, hey, if things go wrong or things go sideways, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I mean, I could see it going either way. But like I say, there is now an argument. And that's a good thing for a team.
Sure.
Because they want to say, love, you got to sit back. You'll understand why. And, he sits. Yeah, but I could also see him saying, no, like, give me the ball and put me back in. I'm the starter of this team. I should be here.
Yeah.
So they might have a little issue there, but that's a great issue because that proves they're winning. Mm-hmm. So you know what? I'd rather take that than the other way around because, like I say, Tennessee, I think their season is already done, and we're in full rebuild mode.
So for the Green Bay Packers, next couple of games, Week 4, they're at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Week 5, on the road playing the Los Angeles Rams. Week 6, at home against the Arizona Cardinals. And then Week 7, at home against the Houston Texans. For the Tennessee Titans, oh boy. Next week, they're on Monday Night Football in Miami playing the Miami Dolphins. Boy, I wonder what they were thinking when they scheduled that one. Week 5, they're on a bye. Week 6, they come back. They're at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Week 7, they are on the road playing the Buffalo Bills.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it should be.
I'm excited about that one.
Should be.
And then last but not least on our main breakdowns, Pad, what are we feeling?
We can talk our teams if you want.
I think we should because I'm going to start slipping up and just really want to talk about Monday night because I got a couple things to say.
Okay. So for my team, well, there's not really much to say. They played the Jets on Thursday Night Football, and it went about the way I expected it. The Jets beat the Patriots 24-3. Aaron Rodgers 27-35, 281 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jacoby Brissett 12-18, 98 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Drake May did get some play time, 4 for 8, 22 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Antonio Gibson led the way for New England in rushing with 5 carries, 29 yards, no touchdowns. Braylon Allen led the way for the Jets. It was 11 carries, 55 yards, and no touchdowns. Breece Hall, though, 16 for 54 and 1. And for the Jets, it was Tyler Conklin leading the way with receiving 5 catches, 93 yards, no touchdowns. Demario Douglas led the way for New England with 7 catches, 69 yards, and no touchdowns. I mean, listen, this is a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think at this point we can safely say that. He's 100% healthy. He's 100% ready to go. And it's an offense that is clicking. He's had 281 and 2. He's played very well the first 3 weeks of the season. And this is a Patriots team that's in rebuild. I mean, for the entire team, the quarterbacks got sacked 7 times. Mm-hmm. Like the offense isn't great. I mean, we're still down our number 1 wide receiver in Kendrick Bourne. He's still coming back from the ACL injury. He's still on the IR list. So. Okay, yeah, Hunter Henry's there. Hunter Henry can't catch every single football. He is a tight end after all.
Right.
So when your number 1 receiver is Demario Douglas, and then after that it's Austin Hooper, 1 catch, 19 yards. Jalen Polk, 2 catches, 13 yards. Hunter Henry, 2 for 9. Antonio Gibson, 3 for 8. Kayshon Boot, 1 for 2. Like, you're not going to win a lot of games that way. So went about the way I expected. Good learning experience for them. Take a few lumps and helps build you stronger.
Yeah, this was a good win for the Jets. Yeah. It was one that I think it went the way everybody was expecting.
Yeah.
So am I ready to say Aaron Rodgers is back?
If there's anything wrong with Aaron Rodgers, he needs to work on his hugs.
Oh, yeah, that was a little bizarre.
That was weird.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I really do think there is a disconnect between him and Robert Saleh.
It could be.
I do think there is some. Because I think Rodgers knows that he makes his team go. I think last year showed it. And I think that where he wants to take this offense, they got to just let him call his plays and do his thing. Mm-hmm. And I will say it was good to see Breece Hall get in there, albeit though it did have a fumble.
Yeah.
But in the same point, they were not, in any kind of serious danger because that defense is playing lights out. Sauce Gardner looked great in this game. Mm-hmm. And I think anytime that you can have, your defense really step up and apply some pressure, and especially for a team that, let's face it, we do know it's a rebuilding year for the Patriots.
Yeah.
But they really imposed their will, and they want to say, hey, we're real contenders here. I thought the Jets had a great game in that aspect. So, you know what? I can't fault them on that. Good win for them.
Yeah.
And then we kind of see where they go from there because, obviously, last time I checked, it's still the Buffalo Bills division.
This is true.
And I'm not going to be a delusional Bills fan here, but there's a couple points I want to make. So, Pat, let's talk about the numbers.
So, the Buffalo Bills beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 47-10. Josh Allen, 23-30, 263 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Trevor Lawrence, 21-38, 178 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mac Jones also got some playtime, 5 of 8, 22 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Did have a fumble, though. Just want to point that out because reasons. Travis Etienne Jr. led the way for Jacksonville in rushing with 11 carries, 68 yards, and no touchdowns. Josh Allen led the way for Buffalo with 6 carries, 44 yards, no touchdowns. And then Khalil Shakir led the way for Buffalo in receiving, 6 catches, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Ken's favorite wide receiver, Christian Kirk, led the
4
way,
years, $96 million.
led the way for Jacksonville with 8 catches, 79 yards, and no touchdowns.
So I will say one thing about Jacksonville. This team is bad.
Yeah, they are.
And I think for all the hoopla around Trevor Lawrence,
Sure.
I'm not going to say pro bust, but I'm going to say he is really struggling to look like a pro quarterback.
Uh-huh.
And there is a lot with this team that they should be doing better, minus my awareness of one wide receiver's contract.
Sure.
This team should be putting up more points. Their defense should be playing a lot better.
You would think.
They did not, and they played very sloppy, and they got caught with it.
Yeah.
Because when you are being sloppy amongst an elite team, they're going to pick you apart.
Mm-hmm.
That is what Josh Allen did. I will say I thought this was probably his best game I've seen on record. He didn't do anything super crazy, especially when they had a fairly sizable lead at one point.
Yeah.
But I think the way they handled that first half, they knew they were in prime time. They wanted to make a statement. Josh let the defense dictate what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he was very poised. He didn't do anything super crazy. Even when he ran, there was only 6 carries.
Yeah.
He didn't put everything on his shoulders. He let James Cook take a lot of pressure off him. And he let the wide receivers dictate what he was going to do, because there was 5 wide receivers with more than 1 reception.
And what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them were in double digits in terms of yards.
And Keon Coleman, who I know I was hearing a lot of, well, Josh doesn't like him. It's not the sense that Josh doesn't like him.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
He still has to get used to the speed on the field and what he's going to do. I think if everybody was expecting him to be Stephon Diggs Jr., it's not happening.
No.
He's a different type of receiver.
Hey, listen, his 1 catch was all I needed.
Exactly.
Helped me in my fantasy game.
No, he looked great there. He got open. And also, Josh has been doing a lot of things that, as weird as this might sound, is very Brady-esque.
Ooh.
He's been throwing to his tight ends a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. Kincaid had 3 for 41.
Yep, 5 targets.
Yeah.
Dawson Knox, 2 targets.
Yeah.
Shakir is his slot receiver. Who is Brady's number 1 receiver? Wes Welker.
Wes Welker, Julian Edelman.
Slot receiver.
Yeah.
That is what he is now learning to slow down and let the game come to him. With the Diggs drama away, you're seeing him play better football. And his wide receiver core may not be the number 1 in the league.
They're good, though.
They're solid.
It's what you saw with Brady. Brady only ever had once like the number 1 receiving core in the NFL, and that was 2007. After that, kind of a mixed bag.
Right. But he's been playing a lot smarter. He's been reading the defenses. He hasn't been trying to force throws. There was a couple bad ones he did.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm not going to lie about that. But for what I saw yesterday, it's like this is the Josh Allen that I think has a legit chance of leading the team to the Super Bowl.
Could be.
They have to beat some of the more elite teams, though. I mean, Jacksonville is bad.
Yeah, they are.
Miami, I mean, prior to Tua's injury, was a contender.
We'll see.
But that's still a solid win for them.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals, you never know what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
The big test is this Sunday night, 8 p.m.
Yep.
against the Ravens.
Yep.
And I will say this. The Ravens are favored 2.5. They're home.
Yeah.
I will say the Bills, whatever we're going to really see out of this team, we're going to see in this game.
I mean, the next 3 weeks for the Bills are not. There's not an easy game in them. Like you said, Baltimore's next week, week 5, on the road playing Houston, which some fans are like, oh, Houston. Not. Listen, don't sleep on Houston. Houston's a very good team.
Houston's a very solid team.
Yeah. And then after that is Monday Night Football against the Jets, Jets, which, again, they're looking very good right now. Could change in 3 weeks, but for right now, they look good.
Too bad New York Comic Con's later in the week. that would have been fun to go to, not going to lie. But that's going to be the true test. I think the Ravens are going to give the Ravens and the Texans are going to be the benchmark.
Yeah.
The Jets, I'm still not sold on, just because they have an elite defense, but Rodgers, I mean, is he going to be Aaron Rodgers of old, or is he going to be old Aaron Rodgers?
Listen, they look good. I'm not ready to crown them and say, oh, they're going to make it to the AFC Championship. No.
Agreed.
No, they look good. But there's been a lot of teams over the years. Indianapolis Colts when Peyton Manning was there for how many years? How many years did he start undefeated and then didn't get you-know-what at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Went home empty-handed.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait to see how that all shapes up, because I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Jacksonville, 5 sacks overall for both quarterbacks. And then Buffalo had, what is it? Let me find it. There it is. 9 QB hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacksonville's bad.
Yeah, Jacksonville's very bad. The defense stepped up. They will have their hands full this week. And then, Jacksonville, well, yeah.
Can we all just agree, though, that, I think now the 2021 NFL QB draft class is hot garbage? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones.
Fields is the only one that the jury is still out on.
He's but the rest of them.
Oh, the rest are,
they're not good.
The rest are bad.
They're not good.
You can't lie about it.
Uh-huh.
So that being said, Pad, shall we take a quick lap around the league?
Yeah, so some of the other games that took place, you had the New York Football Giants defeat the Cleveland Browns 21-15.
Well, broken clock is right twice a day. So I will say Cleveland is bad.
Yeah, they're not good.
They're very bad. Deshaun Watson, the experiment's over. He is not the Deshaun Watson of old. Mm-hmm. They need to do an upgrade at quarterback. For the Giants, well, it's a solid win, but it was an ugly win.
Yep.
Not going to lie.
The Indianapolis Colts defeated the Chicago Bears 21-16.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks and draft and all that nonsense, Caleb Williams, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
He did not look great. Even the stats are one thing, but
363 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times.
He does not look comfortable in the pocket.
Nope.
He really does not. He has weapons around him, too, so there's no excuse for them being 1-2 at this stage.
6 QB hits from the Indianapolis defense.
Yeah.
Then you had the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Houston Texans 34-7.
I never thought I'd be saying this, but Sam Darnold is in the MVP race.
Yeah, which is wild.
2024 is absolutely insane, and this is another testament to that.
181 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, Darnold is looking amazing, and
he's got a quarterback rating of 73.5.
Yeah.
Whew.
I can't even. I have no words.
Fountain of Youth is apparently up in Minneapolis.
Something.
Then you had the Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the LA Chargers 20-10.
This is why I say Justin Fields. We don't know, because now they actually have the team behind him.
Yeah.
We're now seeing what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Chargers coming out east. If you're a longtime listener to the show, you know I don't love when they travel.
Yeah, you don't like the Chargers in general.
No,
and it's nothing against them.
No, it's nothing against them. Just the thing about them is they're the most unpredictable team in the league, because you never know what team is going to show up.
Yep.
I don't care. They could have the most Hall of Fame lineup.
Oh, yeah.
They could go back when Drew Brees was there with LaDainian Tomlinson, and I still would not know what team was going to show up.
Whatever year it was, the Patriots won. It was either their last one or their second to last Super Bowl win. Mm-hmm. During the playoffs, they had the bye, and then the week before was the Chargers playing somebody, and the Chargers dog walked whoever the fuck it was they were playing.
Yeah.
And every pundit on sports media, radio, television, YouTube, whatever, was picking the Chargers. Mm-hmm. Chargers. And then they showed up into New England after the holy beatdown they put on whoever it was they played the week before, and New England embarrassed them out of the building.
Yeah.
Case in point, you got Chargers the week before, destroyed whoever it was they played. Came back the next week, nothing.
Yeah, you can't trust this team. I don't even with Harbaugh there now, I can't trust him. And I will not. I do not do that at all.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about San Diego. I'm sorry, L.A. It'll be a Freudian slip for the rest of my life, but still, it's going to be what it's going to be.
I agree.
But, yeah.
Then you had the Denver Broncos beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-7.
A big upset, especially for how well Baker Mayfield's been playing. But Bo Nix, congratulations. He got a bigger win than he needed.
That is true. Then you had the Carolina Panthers beat the Las Vegas Raiders 36-22.
Puzzling.
Yeah, I'll say.
A lot of things are puzzling about this game. Andy Dalton, who I do have a soft spot for because he got the Bills to a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Memory will never forget that, and neither will history.
Yeah.
He played very well, especially with a team that is bad. They're very bad.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, I mean, I think he needs a change of scenery, and we've alluded to that last week. His NFL career desperately needs it. He needs to get out of Carolina and just hold the clipboard and learn, because I think
Agreed.
it's a situation where you see a lot of these quarterbacks, and we're seeing it now with Caleb Williams. They need to sit on the sidelines and learn the game. And we're having a lot of teams just throw everybody in there thinking they have Peyton Manning Jr., and they don't. This is a situation for Carolina. It's a great win. On the flip side, Antonio Pierce did not mix words.
No.
I loved what he had to say.
No, he did not.
He said players went in the business for themselves, and we're going to handle it like business.
Uh-huh.
He is not the guy I want to cross.
Where are the lies, folks?
No, there was no lies about it, so I would imagine the Raiders are going to do some business. And like I say, I had a feeling if the Rams had lost, there was a lot of rumors talking Stafford was going to Vegas, which if that happened, it was going to be lights out. If only.
I looked it up. It was the 2018 Chargers. They went into the wild card game against the Baltimore Ravens and beat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore 23-7.
Oh, that's right. They punched them out.
They punched him in the mouth in wild card weekend 23-17. Came back the divisional round against the Patriots, 41-28 loss.
Yeah, Belichick was not messing around then.
So that's why I say with the Chargers, you never know who the fuck is going to show up. Then you get the Miami Dolphins, who lost to the Seattle Seahawks 24-3.
Seattle's the real deal, folks.
At least for right now.
I will say they jumped out of the gate early. They have a 2-game lead in that division. They're sitting very pretty. Geno Smith and company look good. Like I say, Miami, obviously having the backup quarterback there is not helping their matters. I fear the season is lost for them. And I'm taking my bias out of it because everybody knows I'm not. I do not like Miami to begin with, but in this situation, it would have been very interesting if Tua was healthy there. Yeah, the outcome would have been.
Tua's out. Skylar Thompson, who got the start, left the game because he was injured. He's questionable and currently listed as day-to-day heading into the game against the Titans. And this is according to the data provided by RotoWire to ESPN.com. Quote, the team expects to have a better feel for the quarterback's status later in the week, Dave Furones of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel reports. So it's either going to be Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley. Or, God forbid, it's Tim Boyle.
See, if it was me, I'd go Huntley.
If it's me, I go with Ryan Tannehill because he's still a free agent.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I don't know if he wants to go back to Miami. That's a whole different ball of wax there.
Yeah, that's true. Then you had the Baltimore Ravens defeat the Dallas Cowboys 28-25.
Dallas's defense can't stop anybody.
Dallas' defense can't stop a cold.
No, they can't do anything.
Dear God.
Dak did all he could, and I know there was a lot of hoopla over him and CeeDee Lamb getting into it on the sidelines.
I feel like I almost jinxed this game too.
Well, in this situation, they had to go stop a run game because you know what Baltimore's coming with.
Yeah.
And this is what, like I say, this is what worries me about the Bills this week because the Bills and the run have not exactly been best friends. Dallas could not stop anything.
That's true.
And their offense got really picked apart. And it's nothing on Dak. 379 and 2. It's like, what do you want?
Well, and I texted you, I think it was right before halftime.
Yeah.
Where it ended up being 21-6 at halftime, and Dallas just had nothing going.
Yeah.
And I said and I told you Dallas might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Like just not just for the game, but in general overall, like you're at home. They had a penalty at one point on the offense. I forget what the penalty was, but even Brady brought it up during the game. I think it was on one of the receivers. And Brady was even like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I could understand the penalty if it was on the road.
Yeah.
It's loud, you can't hear anything, it's an unfamiliar setting." But he's like, "You're at home with this. Like this just doesn't make any sense." I mean, good bounce back for Baltimore, who desperately needed a win. But I think the bigger story is Dallas is in some serious trouble.
Dallas is in big trouble too.
Yeah.
Surprising to see their defense playing as poorly as they are.
Yeah, and they got no room to mess around because the next couple of weeks they've got the Giants, Steelers, and Lions, and then they got a bye in week 7. And after that, San Francisco, Falcons, Eagles, Texans, Commanders, Giants, Bengals, Panthers, Buccaneers, Eagles, and Commanders. Ooh.
Not a good stretch.
Get your stuff figured out quick.
Mm-hmm.
Then for the one of the other later games, you had the Detroit Lions beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-13.
Great game for the Lions. Jared Goff looked good, and I think they needed this one very, very badly. And for the Cardinals, I mean, Murray definitely was contending, but
Harrison Jr. had a good game.
Yeah, he's playing. He's now starting to come alive.
5 for 64, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he's playing very well, but I think it's just they need more parts in Arizona. That's the big thing there.
Yeah, that's the big story. And then you had the Sunday night game where the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Atlanta Falcons 22-17.
The Falcons had this.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to 24-3. I don't want to say they're
I'll
still.
do it.
I know you will.
28-3. Get it right.
Yeah, but in this situation, they had the Chiefs right where they wanted to.
Where was Matt Ryan when this game was going on? I need to know.
Bad fumbles late. They got into their head they couldn't win. And I will say this: they played probably the best game I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins stepped up in the primetime spotlight.
230 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
But the one thing that they could not do is Steve Spagnuolo prescribed a defense scheme late, and Cousins struggled against.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, that's what Spagnuolo does.
Yeah. And I know that Travis Kelce, and they're making a lot of noise about this.
Uh-huh.
His production numbers are down big.
8 catches, which is tied for 92nd in the NFL. 69 yards, which is tied for 114th in the NFL. And no touchdowns, which is tied for 91st.
Well, he's getting double or triple teamed.
Well, which is what they did to Gronkowski.
Well, yeah, and that's what they should be doing.
At the same token, Gronkowski didn't give a fuck and still got catches.
Well, the thing about him, and I think Kelsey's been a little more quiet, but obviously he's
busy.
He's transcended the game in the sense because obviously he's crossed into pop culture because of his outside the field activities,
which we're not blaming. In any way, shape, or form. No, but it plays into it.
I will say this: I do not mind Taylor coming to the games. It's not like she's trying to run on the field.
Yeah.
And get in the screenshot every time she sits in the owner or the player's box.
Yeah, I think she's in Kelsey's suite when they're in Kansas City.
Yeah, and even when she travels, she's in a suite. She's not.
Was she even there this game?
No, she didn't go this game.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But here's the thing: even if she does or doesn't, we've said this before. He's getting at that point where teams are now picking him apart.
Yeah,
his head maybe not fully into the season, so to speak. He's still going up and showing, but. I will say to Patrick Mahomes' credit, he's now adapting when he doesn't have his main target.
Yeah.
And Rashee Rice is now stepping into a number 1 position. Worthy, I'm still not sold on. He does not look good out there.
No.
Smith-Schuster, well, flip a coin, that's what you're going to get.
I'm not saying I told you so with Smith-Schuster, but after his year in New England, told you so.
Yeah.
2 for 17, 3 targets.
So the fact that the Chiefs stole one here, because honestly, Atlanta let him off the hook.
Yeah.
They had him, and they just let him go. They had him, and they let him go. The fact that Atlanta, I don't want to say what I was going to say. Just the fact that Atlanta took the L here is a travesty.
No, I mean, listen, my whole thing with Travis Kelce, I've got no issue with his off-the-field stuff. Like, listen, he's his own person. He's a grown adult. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But I think there is a point where you have to sit there and say his priorities aren't with football.
No.
Which, hey, listen, he can live his life. Like I said, he's a grown adult. He can live his own life. He can do whatever he wants. But when you look at it and go, okay, they're back-to-back 2-time defending Super Bowl champions.
Mm-hmm.
He had the whole offseason where he was traveling around with his girlfriend and going to the tours and doing media appearances. And he's in more commercials than I think Peyton Manning ever was in his prime.
Yeah.
In his time. So he's got all that going on. He's got the stuff going on with his brother in the podcast.
Yep.
And I just don't think his biggest priority right now is football.
I agree.
Now, I think that'll change. I think it's going to be a bit of a wake-up call, and I think some of his teammates are going to go, yo, what are you doing? Like, we need you. We need you to step up. They're barely scraping by, and they're getting lucky, I think, because they're getting a few calls that bounce their way the right way, and I think they're getting, the fortune of luck. But I think there is something, too, with what Travis Kelce's got going on in the offseason, that his focus isn't on football.
No.
And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting here saying he's got to sit in the film room and study the game tapes of every NFL player and this and that, and he can't go out with his girlfriend and can't do that. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's a cause and effect here.
And there's a cause and effect, and that's why I said in the preview of the season. I think he's done after the season regardless.
I could see it.
And now you're seeing it starting to wear on him on the field.
I was on the fence leaning towards that wasn't going to be the case before the season, but now I'm sitting there going, yeah, there might be something to it.
No, he's definitely gone. I think win, lose, or draw, he's gone this season.
Yeah.
And, for the Chiefs, it'll be the end of an era one way or another, so we'll have to see how this all plays out.
I will maintain that Rob Gronkowski better than Travis Kelce.
Yeah. That said, folks, hit us up on the hashtag ODPH pod. A lot of things happening in the NFL. Pat, you got one more thing to throw in?
Yeah, just a couple games for the Kansas City Chiefs because it'll be interesting to see. They got the Chargers, Saints bye week in week 6, and then they've got the 49ers in week 7.
Some real challenges heading into their next week. Them and the Chargers will be a tough game.
Should be.
But depending on what comes out of this week, there's a lot of headlines going on, so definitely hit us up. Let us know how your team is doing. First, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Valem is into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna go.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH Sports Edition. Pad, what you got?
I got a couple things to talk about. First of which is obviously not the local minute. We're kind of in that weird lull between baseball and hockey season. Hockey season does start very soon, though, 2 weeks away. Binghamton Black Bears starting their defense of their championship. So, hey, good luck, Black Bears. Got to talk a little bit of baseball, though, because we are in the final week of the regular season of Major League Baseball. New York Yankees can clinch the American League East with a win tonight against the Baltimore Orioles. Also got to pay attention to what the Cleveland Guardians do, because there is a little bit of home field advantage still up for play between them and the Guardians. The Guardians are number 2 in the American League playoff seeding, I guess you could say. The Yankees are currently number 1. I believe the magic number for that is for the Yankees is 3. So shenanigans outcomes. Yankees win, couple Guardians losses, and the Yankees will have home field advantage throughout the American League side of the playoffs. Once we get to the World Series, I think then it depends on who's got the better record. But, for the American League side, listen, I want the Yankees to have as many home games as they can in the playoffs. So go Yankees, and hey, Cleveland, lose a few. Then we got to talk a little bit about the Oakland A's, or soon to be the Sacramento A's, or the Las Vegas A's, or the who the hell knows what they're going to be A's. Because as we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks, that's a messy situation. The team is leaving San Francisco. That's across the bay. They're leaving Oakland here at the end of the regular season. They're actually playing, I believe they're eliminated from postseason contention, so they're playing their last set of home games in the Coliseum here this week. But the owner of the Oakland Athletics, John Fisher, penned a letter to fans. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to read a couple of the key parts, because this is quite possibly the most tone-deaf letter I've ever heard in my 30-plus years of living on this earth. So part of the letter does read, quote, "The A's are part of the fabric of Oakland, the East Bay, and the entire Bay Area. When Lou Wolf and I bought the team in 2005, our dream was to win world championships and build a new ballpark in Oakland. Over the next 18 years, we did our very best to make that happen. We proposed and pursued 5 different locations in the Bay Area, and despite mutual and ongoing efforts to get a deal done for the Howard Terminal project, we came up short. Only in 2021, after 16 years of working exclusively on developing a home in the Bay Area and faced with a binding MLB agreement to find a new home by 2024, did we begin to explore taking the team to Las Vegas. There are millions of dedicated and passionate A's fans in Oakland and around the world. Countless dedicated staff members and Oakland Coliseum employees have poured their hearts into this team, and their efforts have meant so much to our community. I know there is a great disappointment, even bitterness. Though I wish I could speak to each one of you individually, I can tell you this from the heart. We tried. Staying in Oakland was our goal, it was our mission, and we failed to achieve it. And for that, I am genuinely sorry. Looking ahead, I hope you will join our beloved A's as we move forward on this amazing journey. I hope we see you again sporting the green and gold, and I hope we will make you proud, John Fisher," close quote. Excuse me. Now, the team, as we alluded to, is supposed to be moving to Las Vegas in 2028, although who the hell knows if that's going to happen. There's been plans of stadiums to be built, even renderings done, but the funding hasn't been secured, and who the hell knows when they're actually going to break ground on this thing. They're going to have a temporary home for the next couple of years in the Sacramento area in a AAA facility of all, a former minor league facility of all things. So we'll see how that goes. But for some local reaction, the sports director at ABC7 out in San Francisco, a gentleman by the name of Larry Beal, who's a sports reporter. You might remember him from being on SportsCenter for a couple of years in the late 90s. He said on the morning news broadcast over in San Francisco this morning. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but some of the key parts he did say, because he's been in the Bay Area for a number of years. I feel like if you're going to go to somebody for a feel of the pulse in the area, he's a good one. Mm-hmm. He said, quote, so you heard Fisher's statement. Let me tell you what reality is, okay? John, you tried 5 different extremely flawed stadium proposals. You never even got close to a shovel in the ground. Yes, Oakland politics is often a mess. I will give you that. But John, you surround yourself with incompetent yes men. And because you were born into a billionaire family, apparently never learned you have to spend money to make money. See, Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors, your buddy who still wants to buy the team. John, you're a serial penny pincher. You've destroyed your family's great name and legacy because of your cheapness. As for the statement about loyal A's fans, quote, I wish I could speak to each of you individually, end quote. Seriously? John, we've been trying to interview you for years, but you always choose to remain invisible unless you're begging politicians for public funding. Then you're out in front in Las Vegas, close quote. Should go on to note, though, Beal does hope other owners in the Players Association will do something to stop this. He does point out that Fisher still doesn't have a financing plan for the stadium in Las Vegas. And apparently Oakland's greatest chance to keep the A's ownership's addiction to failure. This is according to Beal. So the whole thing is a mess, and the team is handling it in the worst way possible because they've had their comments turned off on all social media accounts, including LinkedIn of all places. So you can't,
LinkedIn's popping right now, though.
Oh, I understand that, but they've got their comments turned off on LinkedIn. You don't believe me? Like, go to Twitter, go to Instagram. I don't know if you can turn it off on Facebook, but regardless, go to Twitter, go to Instagram. Try and comment on one of their posts. Go ahead, I dare you. You won't be able to. They've had the comments turned off the entire season, and it's just sad to see because I realize the stadium isn't what it used to be, and if you look at the videos of what it is now, it's fallen into disrepair. Mount Davis, that abomination of a 5th deck or whatever it is they built when the Raiders moved in. If you see photos of it now, because there's been writers and various media folks going up there just for one last look before the stadium closes, a lot of the signage hasn't been changed since the Raiders left.
Yeah.
And it's like 5+ year old Bud Light signs. The stadium's falling apart. It's an absolute joke. And whatever happens to the A's, I don't wish it on the players, but whatever negative things happen to the owners, he 100% has coming to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this situation is just messy,
to say the least.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's sad.
It's sad, like that.
Because listen, we're Yankees fans. We don't really love the Oakland A's. We don't necessarily hate them.
No, but
it's sad to see.
It's sad to see that a team that the city has genuinely loved.
Yeah,
because the A's have been bad for a while now.
Yeah.
I think that's a very fair statement.
Yeah.
And fans have shown up even when there's no signs of hope.
Yep.
And the fact that you see all across any major North American city, usually one of two things happens. If a team relocates, the city acts and does something, or they're proactive and they do upgrades on their stadiums so they don't have to worry about this. What side of the fence are you on? And I think for Oakland, whatever their thinking is, I know what that statement said, but in my opinion, it listen, whatever the logic is there, I don't think there's a lot of logic in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think that they've just not worried about things happening until they did.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the fan base deserves better.
Yeah.
And I think that nonsense, I'm sorry, is exactly that. So,
And there is a storied history with the Athletics since they moved to Oakland. I mean, you look at some of the Hall of Famers they've had come through those doors.
Oh,
and
yeah.
onto that field. Dennis Eckersley, Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage, Ricky Henderson, Catfish Hunter played there, Reggie Jackson. Tommy Lasorda was there, but granted before the Oakland days, but Tommy Lasorda came through. Willie McCovey, was there. Joe Morgan, Satchel Paige played for that team. Mike Piazza, you had Frank Thomas, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, they've had chances and they've had teams and they've had Hall of Fame players go
They
through.
had a Hollywood movie made about that team.
Yeah, like there's a lot of historic notes about this team that you can be excited if you respect the game of baseball. Mm-hmm. And like we say, Pat and I are not A's fans by any stretch of the imagination, but Oakland has now seen their football team leave. They've now seen their basketball team more or less.
More or less, they're across the river, but they're gone.
Yeah, we can just say for this argument they're gone.
Yeah.
Now their baseball team's gone.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing when you see any team leave a city.
Yeah.
Because for many of those cities, that's the identity. That is what puts you on the map, so to
Yeah.
speak. And sure, not everybody can be the Yankees. Not everybody
Yeah.
can be the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be a big market team.
Yeah.
But for the A's, it is bittersweet.
And I know teams have left in the past in various sports. The Montreal Canadiens left in Major League Baseball. Seattle Supersonics left in the NBA. The Atlanta Thrash, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The Atlanta hockey team left. But at least in those instances, there's genuine interest for the MLB wants to put another team in Montreal. Like Joe Torre for the Major League Baseball front office has gone on record and said they want to put a team back in Montreal, and they know the fans want it. The biggest issue with the Montreal situation is, they can play in the same stadium the Montreal Expos did, but they would need a new one inside of 5 years.
Yeah.
Just because it's old, it's falling apart, and it needs repairs. We know the NBA wants to go back to Seattle at some point. The Seattle fans have made that abundantly clear. Mm-hmm. And it would not surprise me, if the NHL decides to put another team in Atlanta again. It's going to be a real hard sell for another team of any sport to go back into Oakland with as many issues as there have been on both sides, ownership and the politics side of things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Seattle getting the Sonics back is probably the big lock.
That's a lock.
I think Atlanta getting hockey back, that's a leap because I just don't see that happening.
Sure.
But I think though when Seattle is a prime example. They love the Sonics, and when the Sonics left, that broke that city. But now, with talk of them getting him back, and I will say kudos to Oklahoma City. They said we will honor the history. Whatever you had prior, that goes back to you. That's not our identity. I think that is nothing but win. But that shows about how much you see a team rally around a sports team. And then you, like I say, the Oakland situation, it's heartbreaking. It's saddening. It's mind-numbing when you start doing the math behind a lot of the stuff you hear behind it.
Yeah.
So for them...
And who knows? You never say never. You get somebody else in there, somebody a little more cooler-headed than John Fisher is. Maybe something will happen, but in the immediate future, I just don't see it happening.
No, it definitely won't. So we'll have to wait to see, but obviously we'll be keeping track of the Yankees because they're not going anywhere.
Hell yeah, baby.
We'll have a lot to talk about that. For me, going to tie it off with some wrestling this week. A couple noteworthy things happened. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, there was a promo on SmackDown that has made the rounds.
Oh, yeah.
This is pure cinema.
Woo-hoo, baby.
I will say the production for Cody Rhodes confronting Roman Reigns at the Georgia Tech football field is one of the most amazing promos you're going to see.
It was like out of the midpoint of an action movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the production work done here, I heard Paul Heyman was was connected with this in some manner, which is I could definitely see. That is true. Like hashtag ODPH pod, I want to get confirmation about that. This thing is just amazing.
You know what it just reminded me of? It reminded me of whatever Fast and Furious movie it was, where Hobbs and Dominic Toretto decided, you know what? We got our issues. We got to put that aside.
Yeah.
This is what this is like. And I realize Rock, Roman, okay, there's that obvious. But just the look of it, it's like, okay, listen, we might not agree with each other. We got a common enemy here, and we got to solve this.
Yeah, like I say, the YouTube views have been absolutely insane for it, and rightfully so. If you haven't checked it out, it's 8 minutes, but it's definitely worth the time. Mm-hmm. And like I say, it's pure cinema. So it's helping to add towards their pay-per-view match they have coming up at Bad Blood on October 6th, which we'll be previewing next week. But there was another big move in the WWE this week that we definitely want to talk about.
Yeah.
We have a new Intercontinental Champion.
Hell yeah, we do, baby.
Yep, Jey Uso. Main event, Jey Uso defeated Braun Breaker in an absolutely wild match.
Barn burner.
Yep, to win his first singles title.
Yes.
Amazing moment to see.
Agreed.
Was not sure they were going to do this. We said since the evolution of the bloodline, Jey Uso has been a matter of time before he broke out. I'm so happy he finally got that chance.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah, this was one that a lot of near falls, a lot of crazy spots going on, but the crowd just absolutely exploded when he won.
And I also know some folks aren't necessarily happy with the decision, and that's fine. Each their own opinion. But the way I look at it, this is, I think it's good, and I think it adds a little bit of depth and ongoing story with Braun Breaker, because this, to me, is now twice he's gotten a little cocky. He's gotten a little bit of in his feelings a little bit. Like, I'm the greatest. I've been on this main roster less than 50 some, less than 60 days, whatever the hell it is, less than a year. I'm already champ. I've held the belt for X number of days. I'm the greatest wrestler of all time. Whoops, you lost. It's happened twice now. He underestimated Sammy. Sammy beat him.
Yeah.
He underestimated Jey Uso. Lost to Jey Uso.
Yeah,
adds a little bit to it.
Yeah, I really thought that this really was long overdue.
Agreed.
Ever since the storyline has been going on, Jey Uso has been on that breakout cusp for months. Mm-hmm. And now breaking off with the whole Yeet movement and really establishing himself as a superstar, a bona fide single superstar.
Yeah.
This was the time to do it. I mean, it definitely gave a moment that people weren't expecting, so that's always great for live TV. Mm-hmm. Where they go with Braun Breaker from here, I mean, anything is a guess.
I think he goes for a rematch against Jey.
Oh, I think he does too.
In the meantime.
But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say something I was not thinking I was going to do.
Okay.
I don't doubt that Braun gets involved in the Bloodline storyline.
I could see it.
That maybe, maybe, when Jey Uso gets involved, that's where Braun goes back and confronts him and gets on that heel run.
Could be.
I could see this happening, and to see this finally go down after 5, 6, 7 tries. Jey getting that moment, having that interaction with the crowd, it was magical.
Yeah.
And this is why you fall in love with pro wrestling stuff for that. So that being said, I mean, that was kind of the real kudos of what was going on with WWE this week. AEW, I'll just acknowledge this, is having their Grand Slam event from Arthur Ashe Stadium going down. And if you're a longtime wrestling fan from the indies, Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson is a match that we've all been waiting to see.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with the indie scene, it might not have that emotional kick for you. It's still a big one that, like I say, if you're a hardcore indie fan, you'll really appreciate more than anything else. The rest of the card is okay.
Sure.
I'm not blown away by it, to be honest with you. But I know that it's kind of puzzling about the world title situation there. But listen, Danielson and McGuinness is worth the time of day. If you have the means, go check out their indie stuff and you'll understand why.
Okay.
So I will give them their plug there.
Nice.
Everything else, we'll have to wait and see. But
we'll see.
We will be talking about that on Wrestling Night Live this week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube. And we'll definitely be talking to WWE here on the ODPH next week.
Yeah.
So that's it for anything and everything that is the ODPH. You can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for sports this week. So for the one only Padawan Jay.
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me, we don't have to fabled. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me, we don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.